Welcome to Minute Church for inspiration to go.
Christians and aliens, can you be one and believe in the other? Welcome to Minute Church. I'm Pastor Crespo. We are actually now going to go into part 3 of my interview with Lost Worlds Museum, John Adolfi. John Adolfi has been studying creation science for a really long time, looking at the world through the lens of the young earth theory. And that's really the belief that we were created by God, and that, yes, this world as we know it is not as old as many people think. And what are the ramifications of that? What are the ramifications of believing that instead of evolving from this single-celled little thing into what we are today, that you were actually created with purpose by a benevolent, all-knowing, all-powerful God? We're going to talk about that today. Again, I want to thank John Adolfi for being willing to sit down and talk with me. And as we do this, I want to challenge you to think, how do you relate to the subject of aliens? I want to say one thing before we get into it, and that's this. If I can leave you with this. In my conversation with John, I kind of took this away. And it's not that I didn't believe it before, but it just became more cemented, And that is this, that the subject of aliens and really science, but when you think about it, everything in life, you cannot fully understand the world around you without the Christian worldview. That will help you understand everything. If you don't have it, you're going to be looking at things and seeing them from a flawed perspective. So, nevertheless, here we go. We're going to go into the rest of this interview. I hope that you are blessed and inspired by the rest of this presentation. Question, going back to the Bible here for a second. There are two places that I have seen in Scripture that I've always had questions about. And I know I've heard people ask this question. I wanted to put the question to you.
Sure.
In the book of Job, at the beginning of the book of Job, in Job chapter 1, it kind of sets up the story leading to the story of Job. But it opens up with a scene in heaven.
Yeah.
And so, for those of you that, look up in the Bible, Job chapter 1, and read around verse 6 and 7, it makes the statement that the sons of God came to present themselves before God, and Satan came among them. And when God said, where have you come from? He said, I've come from the earth. Almost, and I've heard theologians say, he came representing the earth because he usurped that authority from Adam when they sinned. And so if he came representing earth, these other people came representing maybe other planets. So exactly. What have you looked at this? What thoughts do you have on it? I'm sure you have.
I've got two thoughts on it, and okay. I know which one I want to be true, but I'm because it seems to fit, and that is exactly what you just said, that there are other unfallen worlds out there. We're the only ones that fell. These sons of God are representatives like unfallen Adam, that is referred to in the New Testament as a son of God. He would have been our representative going there to that meeting had he not fallen. And perhaps these other representatives are sons of God, unfallen, created beings from other planets that are all coming together. And because Adam fell, because Lucifer took his spot, or usurped, like you said, of his spot, he has the right to show up to represent planet Earth. Mm-hmm. I like that one a lot. My wife said to me, I think they may be angels that were all congregating that day. Okay. And I'm like going, all right, I really like the other idea better, though.
Well, that's why Mrs. Lost World Museum is not sitting here right now.
That's right.
She's hearing us probably.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. Okay, so I that's been one of the things that I've thought of. I've never... To be honest, I've never looked at it the way, your wife has mentioned, that it was just angels, which that's fine. It can be that, and those are the things that we have to wait to get to heaven to find out.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing. I think those are some of the texts that people use at times to kind of make this case of aliens visiting Earth. They're and I think, I don't know that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. There is a reality beyond just Earth.
Right.
I mean, when you look at the stars and just the vastness of space, to think that we're the only ones out there, not only it's kind of, it seems so unreasonable, but we're actually negating the idea of God. I've had people say, I believe that this earth was seeded by an alien. And I had a friend who's an evangelist one time. He told me he was at a meeting and someone said that to him. I believe in aliens, Pastor. I'm sorry. I believe that an alien came to this planet and started life on earth and seeded life. And he said, you're right. And that alien's name is Jesus Christ. So, angels.
Yes.
When we're talking about aliens, we're, from the Christian point, we're more pointedly really talking about angels, right? Either fallen or unfallen. Is that how you would explain it if someone came to you and was kind of talking to you about the subject?
Yeah. Yes. Fallen or unfallen angels. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think if we can talk a little bit about this, what would be the motive? Well, no, I want to back up. Let's talk about this. Why would you have a difficult time believing that aliens, if in the way we believe that,
okay,
why would you have a hard time believing that aliens would not visit Earth?
That's a great question, because and this is an assumption, that our Earth has a thing called a sin problem. It's been going on ever since Adam. Well, it went on in heaven, but it was transported here some 6,000 years ago when Adam and Eve fell. That problem that we have here basically I'm going to use the word quarantines us from the rest of the universe. Mm-hmm. At some point when this is over with and the sin problem has been completely dealt with, okay, and that's a whole different topic and subject and discussion. Once that is, and people are safe again as far as from themselves and from others, then I believe we're going to have we're going to be able to talk to others from other worlds. I believe they exist out there, but not until then. So nobody comes and visits us. Right. They can't visit us because what is a perfect being going to do on this sin-filled planet? Mm-hmm. What kind of we already have messengers from heaven. Those are angels. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's created, who didn't fall, who could be 10,000 years old or 1,000,000 years old, depending on when it was created. They have no business being here. Right. Not yet. They have no part to play.
And I think that's an important thing to remember. The idea that Christians, the idea of being a Christian and having difficulty believing in aliens, no, you don't have to have a difficulty with it, but you need to understand it properly.
Exactly.
And the idea that, yes, if you want to classify an angel as an alien, yeah. Okay, if you want to classify an unfallen angel or demon, which I don't like that word either because it just gives it a little bit more power than it's due. These are angels that rebelled against God's authority. They listened to Lucifer and his lies, and we believe that there is this push to get people to disbelieve in God and believe in themselves. The idea of aliens denotes the idea that there's life on other planets. I think a godless alien is what people want us to believe in. Yeah. Because then we're just a product of evolution. That's what all the science fiction movies are. There was one movie that came out. It's part of a popular franchise of movies. And in that story, it turns out that there's an alien who want to destroy Earth. And the reason they want to destroy Earth is because we're so wicked. They sent someone to show us to be better, and they killed him. And so in the movie, it's saying that Jesus was an alien. And so just this whole concept, it's confusing people, and that's why I think that we have to have a clearer understanding that. So if we're trying to understand these alien spottings, that it's the enemy.
Oh yeah,
perpetrating a hoax of some kind for something in the future. Maybe government technology, drones. I mean, the drones can do things in their craft that human beings would not be able to do in terms of physics because our bodies couldn't take it. But then some of the stuff is just, I mean, it's just, there has to be a supernatural aspect to it. I don't know any other way to explain it. So I think that, I want to encourage the listener, if you are struggling trying to understand this and you think that you can't believe in both, and I guess this is what I want to kind of maybe end with. I want to ask you and to maybe share with me a little bit here. If you have someone out there that they're struggling to find common ground with what their eyes are seeing on TV, what they're watching in the news, and then what we believe as Christians, how do I balance this notion of belief in aliens and the Christian worldview? How do you settle it in your mind? How could you share it with someone to help them settle it?
Well, everything that we just shared in this podcast is comprehensive enough to be able to share some ideas, some thoughts on this subject. People are not as well schooled and thought out in this. They've just seen a few things. They've seen a few videos. They get an idea that perhaps, we're not alone. And that's a reasonable assumption. So to actually get specific with things, to show how elusive they are and show the behavior of it, the fact that the Bible says that Lucifer, which means day star, can also manifest himself as an angel of light. And that angel of light, to me, you know what the deciding thing is? The physics of the physics define movement of these crafts. That to me right there says something is up.
Yeah,
something is up, and I believe only supernatural can do that. I remember in Daniel, the book of Daniel, he prays for understanding of the prophecies, and God dispatches Gabriel. By the time he gets done with his prayer, what is it, a couple of minutes?
Yeah.
Gabriel is right there. How far away is heaven?
Right.
How many light years away is heaven? And yet Gabriel is able to get there in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So that just shows you, the capabilities of these divine and unlawful beings that are here.
That's interesting.
On planet Earth.
I've heard that described as the speed of thought, if there is such a thing.
Right.
And that would require technology, I would assume. Yeah, that's amazing.
They're able to go in and out of our realm.
I also want to just speak to anyone who is dealing with this subject, trying to find some middle ground. You almost feel like you have to stop believing in your Christian roots if you want to be sort of kind of sophisticated and believe in this whole science fiction, aliens and all this. I find it interesting, John, that there are folks that are willing to believe in aliens. They're willing to believe that aliens have visited the earth. They're willing to believe in these extraterrestrial, ancient astronaut theory, but they don't want to believe in God. They'll believe that there is such a thing as people out in outer space that are much more intelligent than we are. They'll believe that they came and they created man and modified the DNA of an ape and made it smart, but they have a hard time believing that there's a creator out there that's a loving being and that's given everything in the example of allowing his son to die for us. There is a world bigger than your world, and it does include things that we don't understand. It does include the supernatural, but I believe the Christian worldview, if you don't look at it through that lens, you're going to end up out in left field someplace. Yeah. And I think the Christian worldview is the only thing that, rightly understood, can make sense of all of it.
I agree.
John, I want to thank you. I want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
What do you want us to know about what's new at Lost World Museum?
Lost World Museum is in the process of creating more long-form content on YouTube. We have already created more than 650 videos on TikTok. And so I'd like to invite the people who are listening or watching to go to our channel. And it's just Lost World Museum. And you can find us there on YouTube. And those of you that would like to get our weekly newsletter,
okay.
And there's a bonus report if you go to this website, and it's pretty easy to remember, museumalerts.com, Museum Alerts, ALERTS.com, and there's a free report should you decide to join our newsletter. It's called The 3 Top Reasons Why Noah's Ark Must Still Exist.
Oh, we should do something on that. I would love to, although I never will, love to go to Mount Ararat and do a little searching. I think that's amazing. All right, friends, thank you for tuning in. I hope that this has been an interesting podcast for you. There is proof of aliens. I am living proof because this alien has changed my life and John's life as well.
Yeah.
His name is Jesus Christ, and I would encourage you to get to know him. I'm Pastor Crespo, and that is Inspiration to Go.